Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to That's Football. I'm Mark Goldbridge and it's time to grow up for some football fans. As we look at the league table and reality bites, we again ask the question, where's Chelsea? Well, they're on Scroll Down FC, they're on page 2. But is it right to sack Pochettino? And is it right to bring Jose Mourinho in? Or is that just silly fans being silly about their football club, where a little bit of reality could do them good? I look at what Spurs are doing with Ange, and I think Chelsea wandering away from Pochettino to Jose Mourinho or any other manager is just childish and immature. Also, talking about that, Arsenal, the way they reacted at the weekend, they got a lot of stick for it. But look at that league table now. 2 points separating the top 3. Are Arsenal a title contender? And are they right to celebrate what was a big win against a great, not a great, but a good Liverpool side? God knows what I nearly said there. And Man City winning last night. Are they now going to run away with it? Lots to get into. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. Also, the new podcast is out today. Goldbridge Saves Football. Keep supporting it. It's doing great. Links in the chat and the video description. Ultras. There's some great either-ors in there this week, as well as Pratt of the Week contenders. But look, one Pratt of the Week contender that's not in the podcast is probably some Chelsea fans, if I'm being honest. I want to start off with this bring Mourinho in. This was something I was talking about on the United Stand last week. I find it incredible. What are your thoughts, outside or inside Chelsea Football Club? Should they be sacking Pochettino? We're hearing this morning, we did a video yesterday, we're hearing this morning that I did a video on Friday and I got a load of stick from Chelsea fans who were probably a little bit smug before the weekend. Reality bites, you lose to Wolves. Financially, sacking Pochettino and his entourage less than a year into bringing him in will be very expensive for Chelsea. And as we know, they're already trying to sell probably their player of the season in Conor Gallagher to raise money from homegrown funds, because they're locked in for years for this abundance of players they bought in who quite clearly aren't good enough on huge wages. So removing Pochettino financially could be a killer for Chelsea. I think they've got to see this through. I think, I think Chelsea fans need to grow up and realise that sacking managers, much the same as what we're saying at Man United. I've said it to United fans last week. 50% wanted Mourinho to come in and take over from Ten Hag before the Wolves game. They won't be thinking that now. But Jose Mourinho, as much as he's a legend of the game, and I find him box office, can we have a bit of a reality bite? Can we grow up a little bit? Jose Mourinho in 2024 doesn't win your titles. Jose Mourinho in 2024 doesn't even get your top 4 in the Premier League. Jose Mourinho in 2024 can't compete with the De Zerbis and the Emerys and the Angers, let alone the Pops, the Klops, the Peps, the Klops and the Artetas. Time has gone. It's the Arsene Wenger thing. Like, would I bring Sir Alex Ferguson back to manage Man United? No, I wouldn't. Let him enjoy his retirement. He's a great of the game. And with Jose, I just don't see it. I don't see it. At Manchester United, you saw the 3 youngsters at the weekend and what we're building there. You bring Jose in. What's Jose? What is Jose? And look, it was Man United last week. It's Chelsea this week. Are Liverpool going to get linked to him? No, they're bloody not, because they're switched on. Jose Mourinho builds short-term teams. He never stays anywhere longer than 2 or 3 years. He brings experienced players in. He hasn't got time to nurture and build things. What about Chelsea Football Club or Chelsea football fans think that that's what they need at the moment? Oh, yeah, but we just need someone to come in and steady the ship. No, you don't. You don't. You've spent a shitload of money on a very young squad that needs nurture and time and confidence and patience. That is what you need. And I think when we look at that league table now, reality bites. Look at Aston Villa. Emery's building something and they're all in tune. Look at Spurs. Ange is building something and they're all in tune. Arsenal and Liverpool, to a certain extent, are building something, but are a lot closer to Man City than Villa and Spurs are at the moment, and Man City are a dominant juggernaut. There are 5 teams at the top of this league where people need to grow up and look at it and go, they are the best 5 teams in the league, and actually, what do they have running through them in common? Well-run clubs with squads in tune with their manager, playing good football with a defined and simple plan that everybody understands. And then from 5th down, look, Man United are in a good place at the moment, but for most of this season, whether it's injuries, the sale of the football club, the off-field stuff, the inability to string 2 good performances together until the last 2, Man United has been a yo-yo club, a roller coaster this season, and there's a multitude of reasons I've just listed for that the clubs above us don't have. They have that structure, they have that vision. West Ham, I think, are doing very, very well. You'd say West Ham are overachieving. Brighton, look, Brighton are Brighton. They're a well-run club, European football, major injuries. They're probably not where they'd like to be, but they're not in a terrible position. And then you've got Wolves, who are doing really well as well. Probably should be higher with VAR. Newcastle, look, Champions League football, top 4 last year, nowhere near it this year. Huge amount of injury, struggling to spend, even though they're the richest club in probably the world. They've got their own parameters and issues to deal with out of Europe as well. And then Chelsea, who we just mentioned. The reality is that Newcastle fans, I don't see them with Eddie Howe out posters. Man United fans in the majority are now behind Ten Hag. Chelsea fans saying Poch out. I look at this league this season. We haven't sacked many managers in the Premier League. The January transfer window, as I said last week, has been a write-off. But we haven't seen that many sackings. Not many managers are being sacked. And is that because clubs are looking at it financially, long-term, and going, look, maybe we do all need to grow up a little bit in football. Maybe sacking managers, and it does have to happen sometimes. I mean, you'll probably look at the Palace situation, and Hodgson's got to go in the summer. It's just whether you wait till the summer. I get that. But we have seen a lot of clubs change managers. Chelsea did it last year when actually I think that stability and time and confidence is clearly the pathway forward. I mean, Liverpool had a bad season last year. They've had a good season this year. Arteta, they beat Liverpool at the weekend. They're back up again. Aston Villa, Emery, I didn't think that was going to work. He's come in consistently good. Ange, I didn't know a lot about Ange, if I'm being honest, but I knew a lot about Spurs, and I was like, that's not going to work. And it has worked. Sometimes it takes time for things to work. I think at Man United and Chelsea, the correct decision is to stick with the manager. But as fans sack managers, is what I'm trying to say. Fans do sack managers. And what are your thoughts on this situation? You know, Newcastle, should they be looking to replace Eddie Howe in the summer? Manchester United with Ten Hag, Chelsea with Pochettino. I don't see a manager out there, and this is a great point, I don't see a manager out there that comes into any of those clubs and instantly makes you think they're going to be better. I've seen when Liverpool got rid of, was it Rodgers, and they brought Klopp in, I was like, I think that is an upgrade. Man City did it with Pep. But I don't think there's an abundance of managers out there at the moment that you go, yeah, Poch needs to go because this guy's going to come in and revolutionise that football club. Same with Manchester United and Ten Hag. And look, Newcastle, obviously, Eddie Howe managed Bournemouth. You can go for a higher profile manager. Of course you could. But again, Mourinho's been linked to Newcastle. I mean, he probably suits Newcastle more than he does in Chelsea and Man United because they've got young players coming through. But have Newcastle not got young players coming through like Lewis Miley? Look, I would love to watch Mourinho at Newcastle, and I'd be intrigued to watch Mourinho at Chelsea. But it's a bit like when Chelsea got Potter. I was like, oh, I like Potter. I like to see that experiment. Just don't bring it to my club. So, but I do think that, and we talk about this a lot on the podcast, you know, we all need to grow up at different stages because we all have emotion involved. But I think this season has been a real learning curve for a lot of fans that sacking your manager isn't always the right thing to do. Man United have been through a cycle of sacking managers every 3 years for the last 10, and we end up in the same position. Chelsea have sacked a lot of managers already. Tuchel, Potter, you've had Lampard a bit, and now people want Poch out in 18 months. At some point, and I mean, look, it was a long, long time ago, but look at what happened to Sir Alex Ferguson when he took over Man United. It took years to solve the issues and rebuild that football club. And I just think it's way too early. And look, in this season, people will go, well, if he keeps losing, you've got to sack Poch. But why would he start winning? Like, it's not like he's doing it on purpose. What about Chelsea makes you think they're suddenly going to start winning? I think with most football clubs, it's the players that are the problem. And if you sack a manager, you empower the players. Whereas if you back a manager, those players either have to put up or shut up. I think the way forward for a lot of clubs is actually to back a manager in certain circumstances, because you're not empowering the players, and player power can be a very negative thing. Get your comments in below. What are your thoughts? I don't see a club for Mourinho in the Premier League anymore. And also, I think that Premier League table suggests that the successes of this season, the Anges and the Emerys and the Artetas and the Klopps to a certain extent, is because of the structure around them and the confidence of those clubs to build a vision and stick with that vision. Get your comments in below. Smash a like on the video. Don't forget to check the podcast, and I'm very interested to see your comments. But podcast, top link, video description out today. Goldbridge Saves Football. Some cracking stuff in there, and a bit of behind the scenes talk about how I got that Rasmus Højlund interview. Check it out. I'll speak to you in a bit.